Am I wrong for ruining my work colleagues' wedding and getting them arrested? The title sounds bad, but hear me out. I, 38 female, had two work colleagues, Mary and Adam, both in their late 20s, early 30s. Mary started in the company first, and then she got Adam to join. They worked in different departments, and Mary was in mine. Later, Mary left the company to pursue another career. When they started at the company, they were already married for a few years. Now, Mary is the kindest and loveliest person I've ever met. She was always polite, helpful, and would cheer anyone up. So it came to a shock when we found out that she is divorcing Adam because he has cheated on her. I had called to express how sorry I am that this has happened to her, and we've been talking daily ever since. I was impressed how well Mary holds herself in such a situation. She wouldn't badmouth Adam, and the only thing she mentioned was how her wedding dress and a few family heirlooms went missing when she was moving her stuff from their apartment. She thought they might be misplaced in a different box and will turn up eventually. A few years passed. I now work in the same department as Adam. He's a good work colleague, but can be dismissive and ignorant at times. Adam invited me to his wedding with the lady, Chelsea, he cheated on Mary with. As the entire department was invited, I said yes, making sure Mary was okay with this. I've also told her where the wedding will be because it's not too far from where she lives and we can go grab some drinks after if she wanted to. On the day of Adam's wedding, I had noticed that Chelsea was wearing a similar dress that Mary had worn in the photos of her and Adam's wedding years ago. So without thinking, I had snapped a picture and I sent it to Mary with the caption saying, "Doesn't this dress look familiar?" Mary saw the message but didn't respond, and about an hour later the police showed up at the venue. I need to add that the police in our country is ruthless and any theft is considered a criminal matter for the police to deal with. Police had asked Chelsea to take the dress and all the jewelry off. Chelsea refused and started arguing with them, and then Adam joined in. Everyone at the wedding had to leave. I had tried to call Mary, but she wouldn't pick up the phone. As we found out later, Chelsea was wearing Mary's wedding dress and her heirlooms. Mary spotted them on her in the picture I sent her and called the police. Apparently, she had previously asked Adam if he had them, and he declined, saying he never saw them. So, after she saw the picture, she knew he was lying and stole them. Chelsea had to leave the wedding dress and jewelry at the police station and go home wearing her underwear and Adam's jacket after they were bailed out. Yesterday, Adam returned to the office and went completely mental at me, blaming me for sending a picture to Mary and ruining his wedding. He would also call me an asshole for what I did. Am I wrong for not wanting to make my friend a wedding dress for the cost of materials? So I have a degree in fashion, which some people think means I can be their personal seamstress. I'm used to this problem and I don't mind helping out, but I never work for free. My pregnant friend recently reached out to me and asked me if I could make her wedding dress and sent me a picture of the idea she had in mind. It isn't exactly a simple dress, but it's also not the most complex I've ever done either. I told her I could for sure do this for her and it would cost around 600 pounds. She was shocked at this and told me that she thought I'd do it for free and just pay for the materials. Why would she assume that? I pointed out how many hours this would take me to do and all the hand embroidery needed. Then I explained I was doing this for a quarter of the price I charge other people because she's my friend. At this point, she started to get very upset, telling me I have no idea how much stress she's under with the wedding and the fact she's pregnant and how money is tight and how this should be my wedding gift to her and how great it looked in my portfolio. I don't think I'm being unreasonable to want some money for this, but other friends are telling me it's horrible how I'm wanting to charge her for this and it's not like I'm a high-end bridal shop. So am I being unreasonable? No, your friends suck. Am I wrong for telling my daughter she should change her wedding dress to green? My oldest daughter is straight-laced and is doing the whole get married and have a traditional life. She places a lot of emphasis on her upcoming wedding. My youngest is the complete opposite. While I don't agree with some of her choices, she's an adult, she pays for her way of life, and there's not much more I can do. She likes to call herself a digital nomad. My eldest kicked my youngest out of the wedding party. It's because my youngest has eloped with her boyfriend. The guy is about 10 years older than her, divorced with 2 kids. I think what set my oldest off is that her fiance comes from money, and the wedding will be stupidly lavish. However, my youngest daughter's husband has a lot more money, and he wholeheartedly supports my daughter's artistic temperament. The oldest is being told by her in-laws that her sister doesn't have the same family values as what she's being married into. What the? Why is that anyone's bit? My oldest has banned her sister from the wedding and says she's going no contact with her sister over her lifestyle choices. Why is that anyone's business? I told my daughter what is done is done. She also needs to stop being jealous of her sister, or she might as well make her wedding dress green. You go, Mom. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, why does her choices affect anything with your wedding? Now she has banned me from the wedding. Oh, that's fucked up. My husband isn't going now that I'm forbidden, and his other daughter is also forbidden. My oldest is going on a rampage on social media talking about how her dad refuses to walk her down the aisle at the wedding. I told her she was playing the victim for no reason. My oldest, her fiance, and his family are all blasting up her social media saying we are immoral people. Oh my God. Wait, that's it? There's no more? There's no more. That's it. That's it. There's no update. There's nothing else. So I want to know what happens at the end. Did they go to the wedding? Did they have a wedding? Did the sister go? Did the dad go? There's no update on this. Am I wrong for asking my sister to get over the fact that I proposed to my girlfriend at her wedding? My sister got married 5 years ago. Her husband's parents were quite rich and they paid for a destination wedding for 5 days. They even paid for the flights and the stay for all the immediate family members. Back then, that was hugely romantic and it felt like a fairy tale. Although we are doing much better financially now, back then I was sure I would never be able to do something like this. I didn't even plan to do this, but I was caught up in the moment and asked my girlfriend to marry me. She said yes, but we did not say anything to anyone. I did not want to step on any toes. A few months later, I bought an engagement ring and we told everyone that I had proposed after a romantic meal at home, and that was that. A few months ago, we went on vacation to the same place my sister got married. My sister, her husband, her 2 kids, me, and my wife. We were getting drunk, having fun, when my wife told them that I had proposed to her outside this very restaurant all those years ago. My sister was pissed and she stormed out. My brother-in-law also feels that it was cheap of me to use his parents' money for a proposal. That's like, what? Cheap of him? He used your parents' money, what the fuck's the difference? It's been weeks and my sister is still cold towards us. I said it happened years ago and to just let it go. She said that she is hurt and that was supposed to be her fabulous wedding. She says that the place and time is memorable to us as a place we agreed to get married, and that it will never be remembered as the place she got married. She was very mad that I hurt her feelings, and now I'm just asking her to let it go. It happened years ago. We never told anyone. Is this as big as a deal as everyone is making it out to be? Am I wrong for proposing all those years ago? Oh my gosh. The entitlement. Like, what is wrong with you? No one knew. Well, who cares? Why? Am I wrong for announcing my pregnancy during my family's white elephant game? I, female 24, am currently pregnant. I waited to tell everyone, including my boyfriend, male 25, knowing that I would reach the 2nd trimester just in time for Christmas. I thought it was a perfect gift, and I was relatively symptom-free. We, my parents, and my siblings, and their spouses plan to get together Christmas Eve in order to celebrate. Every year, we hold a white elephant gift as a fun event for the evening. The spending minimum is $40, but I figured the reveal of the first grandchild would be a priceless gift. I wrapped and framed my first ultrasound and I hid it until the party. My boyfriend and I usually play as one person instead of 2 to avoid buying 2 $40 gifts, so I had planned to grab my own gift and open it for everyone to see. Since only 7 of us were playing, I figured my chances of getting a low number were pretty good, so I could grab the gift first. I even wrapped it ugly on purpose so that no one else would be tempted to go for it. Somehow I ended up with the worst luck and drew a 5. I started to get a little nervous but figured that even if someone else opened the gift, it would be okay. My brother-in-law Ryan, 32 male, drew a number lower than me and grabbed the present. We are not super close, but I figured once everyone saw what it was, I would just announce it. But the second he lifted the lid, he burst into tears. Oh my god, he thinks it's his wife's! I was so confused. My name was right on the ultrasound and everything, although in small text. I saw my parents' faces twist into joy as they looked at my sister, Beth, 31 female, who was just confused. Once she saw what it was, she turned super red and looked at me and my 2 other sisters. She looked super embarrassed as she told him that it did not belong to her. I stood up, a bit nervous by the environment, and announced that it belonged to me. My parents' expressions completely fell. My brother-in-law asked if we could take a break from the game. I had no idea what was wrong. My boyfriend felt so uncomfortable that we left immediately afterwards without even finishing the game. My boyfriend told me I should have told him in private, and I was an asshole for putting him on the spot. The next day, my mother and sister texted me to tell me I should not have used our family game for this when my sister is struggling to conceive. Oh, you didn't say that part. I had no idea she was going through that. Oh, just kidding, you didn't know. I just wanted to share the news with my family on our favorite holiday. It's been weeks and no one has reached out to me. So, am I the asshole? Aw, this sucks. No, I think you had good intentions. This sucks. I feel so sorry. Wait. You waited your whole first trimester, waited till your 2nd trimester, and you still didn't tell your baby daddy? That's the fucked up part. I don't think the game was the fucked up part. I think you should have given your boyfriend the heads up. Just my opinion, you know. Am I the asshole for not inviting my daughter to my wedding? I, 46-year-old male, am getting married to my fiancé, 39-year-old female. We have been together for 3 years. I have 2 daughters, 18 and 19, from previous relationships. My fiancé is a very sophisticated person and has very exquisite tastes. She also doesn't really care for young children, and this has created tension between her and my youngest daughter. While our plans have been delayed due to global circumstances, our plans to get married are finally going ahead. It's going to be a very lavish and expensive wedding. Due to the nature of the wedding and my fiancé's preference, our wedding is also going to be child-free. We will, however, be inviting my oldest as she is no longer a child and because, unlike my youngest, her and my fiancé get along well. However, I didn't realize that my youngest expected to come to the wedding. She tried to tag along with my fiancé and oldest when they were going dress shopping because she thought she was going to need a dress too. I explained to her that the wedding was going to be for adults only and that she wouldn't be attending. She started crying and getting mad, which stressed out my fiancé. She has been distraught about this for days and hasn't let it go. My parents came by to visit one day and my youngest told them what happened. When they asked for clarification on the situation, I explained to them that my daughter wouldn't be attending the wedding because the child-free rule applied to her as well. Besides, this wedding would not be suitable for a child and I don't want my fiancé to have to deal with my daughter on the most important day of her life. Oh my gosh! I had to reread that shit. My parents told me I was being a terrible father by prioritizing my fiancé over my daughter and that on the day of the wedding they would take my daughter out for a special day, which means they wouldn't be in the wedding. I told them that they couldn't do that. Even if they didn't attend the wedding, I wouldn't let them take my daughter. This has become a bigger conflict than I intended. Can I roll my eyes farther back? My fiancé and I both think we're in the right for wanting a child-free wedding, but it appears I may lose my parents from the wedding over this, and I want to know if I am the right or not. So, am I the asshole? No, you're not the asshole, you're the dumbass. You're just a complete dumbass. Like, man. What? You stupid shit. Am I wrong for adding my brother to his fiancé? I, 24 male, have a younger brother, 22 male, who's in the closet. I knew he was gay since he was 15 years old, but I never told our parents anything about it because they're pretty homophobic and would probably end up disowning him. However, around 2 years ago, my brother brought this girl home and presented her as his girlfriend. Our parents were pleased with her, but I was confused and later on asked him why he's dating a girl if he's gay. He told me that he's planning to marry a girl for appearances and to have children in order to please our parents. I told him that's a terrible idea and he's just gonna make himself and the girl miserable for the rest of their lives. He then told me he doesn't plan to stay married to her for the rest of his life and just for a while until they have children. After that, he's gonna divorce her and share the custody of kids with her. What the that's I told him that's a very cruel plan and that he shouldn't let his parents' expectations dictate the way he lives his life. But he just ignored me and continued to date this girl. Fast forward to last week when I found out that my brother and his girlfriend got engaged and were planning to get married in next year's spring. I called my brother and told him again how cruel he was for leading on that girl and he should try to put himself in her shoes, but he again didn't listen to me. So I contacted his fiancée and convinced her to meet up with me in order to talk about my brother. I then told her all the truth. That my brother is only marrying her in order to have children and that he's going to divorce her as soon as he has them and he's actually into men. She absolutely lost it and told me that I just came up with lies about my brother in order to break them off because I was secretly in love with her. How can people be like, I wish I had that confidence for some of these people to think that many people are into you. Like, how can you be so cocky? Like, you're so full of yourself. After that, I just let her be and I thought my brother was going to rear me a new one after finding out what I told her. But yesterday, my brother called me enraged and went off on me, telling me how I could out him to his fiancé like that and betray his trust. Apparently, after our talk, his fiancé did some digging on my brother and found out that he's been seeing another man behind her back. She immediately broke the engagement off after that and let my brother know that I was the reason she even suspected him in the first place. My brother told me that he's never going to trust me with anything ever again and then blocked my number. So, am I the asshole here? No, honestly, like, I get family is family, but that poor girl is going to get blindsided later on and it's going to suck and you were just being a good person. I think if you're family or not, you got to do what's right. Always. Am I wrong for telling my ex to stop giving my daughter lunch money? I have a daughter, Emily, 16 female, with my ex. She chose to live with my ex and his wife and kids the majority of the time because she has to share her room with her stepsister Laura, 15, at my house. My ex gives Emily $25 a week to buy lunch. Emily's in lower school is down the street from a lot of restaurants, so instead of buying school lunches, she leaves campus to buy herself and her friends lunch. Okay, I don't see the problem here. The problem is she sees Laura at school and won't get her anything even though she gets her friends lunch all the time. Why should she do that? I talked to Emily about it and she said it's because her friends pay her back and Laura can't. Valid point. I agree. Emily knows we can't afford to give Laura that kind of money and I know she works part-time and gets an extra allowance from her dad, so I asked her to occasionally buy Laura lunch to make her feel better. She refused. I called her dad and hoped that as a parent he'd understand what I was trying to do, but he said Laura's feelings are not his or Emily's responsibility and that if she wants to buy lunch off campus, she should get a part-time job like Emily. Facts. I tried to explain that Laura is in sports and she has ADHD and depression, so it would be hard for her to work, but he said that's mine and my husband's problem and hung up. What? You don't try to hold a pity party, okay? Laura came back home the other day crying because Emily came back with food from her favorite restaurant and didn't give her anything or offer to share, so I called my ex and told him that he needs to stop giving Emily lunch money and have her make her own lunches because she was hurting Laura. Why are you being so inconsiderate of your daughter's feelings? Like, I get they're both your kids, but what? He refused to listen to me and told Emily that I'm telling him not to let her go out to lunch because of Laura, and Emily hasn't spoken to me except to say that she's going to stay at her dad's full time for a while. Poor girl. Like, you cannot force relationships onto people. Like, am I wrong for yelling at my brother at his daughter's funeral? So my brother, 37 male, married his high school sweetheart, but she sadly passed away during birth 10 years ago, which completely broke my brother, and he never recovered from that. Because of that, he fell into drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction and was unable to take care of his daughter. Let's call her Abby. Since he was unable to take responsibility as a father, my husband, 35 male, and I, 34 female, decided to take care of Abby shortly after she was born. We always wanted my brother to be involved, but he was usually too high to know what was going on. My parents tried to get him into rehab, but he would relapse every time. So we were the ones who saw Abby's first steps, her first swimming lessons, who walked her to school, and who bought her first bike. When Abby was 7, she was diagnosed with stage 3 leukemia. Nothing was too far away or too expensive to try, and we saw every specialist that we could find, and it got better for a while. At 8, she was cancer-free, but about a year later, it returned even worse. Again, we tried everything, but she just got worse. My brother visited her at the hospital once. It had taken my parents and my husband and I to get him there. He saw her and immediately left. 3 weeks later, Abby died. Both my husband and I were there and held her. The funeral was 2 weeks later, and my brother showed up. He was clearly high and out of it and started yelling about how we had taken his daughter away and how we were the reason why she got sick and died. We were all very emotional, but I just couldn't believe he was actually that far gone. My dad tried to get him to calm down, but he just wouldn't stop. So as he tried to get my brother away from the crowd, I lost him. I yelled at him. How could he just abandon his daughter, his wife's legacy, and not even visit her in the hospital as she was dying? My husband stopped me, but I couldn't calm down. I was so hurt about what he said and hated him so much in that moment. My mother later told me off and blames me for ruining the service, and so does most of my family, and I think they are right. My husband has not said much since then. So am I wrong here? Leave it up to moms to defend their stupid ass sons for fucking shit up. Like, this, oh my god, like, you took your brother's kid as your own and basically raised her. That's not his kid, that's your kid at this point, right? You raised her for the 8 years that she was alive or whenever she died, and they have the goal to tell you that you ruined the service. You lost a kid. You have every right to act the way you did, so not the asshole. Am I wrong for telling my coworker that I will report him after he announced my pregnancy during lunch break? I, female 33, have been working at this company for 4 years. I have great relationships with my coworkers, and one of them is Austin. Austin is incredibly sociable and easy to adapt with new coworkers. We talk about all kinds of stuff while of course keeping it professional. I'm married and recently found out I was pregnant, but only my husband knew about it. Haven't even told anyone in our families or friend circle. The other day at work, me and the coworkers were on lunch break and Austin was with us. We talked, then he suddenly got up from his chair and asked for everyone's attention for a minute. I didn't know what that was about until he loudly announced that I was pregnant. What? I was stunned, like mouth open, eyes not moving, just staring at him as he and the others rushed to congratulate me and flood me with well wishes and parenting jokes and advice. I was in utter shock and I asked how he knew and he said, "Remember when you gave me a ride the other day? I saw your pregnancy test on the dashboard." My first action was lashing out at him in front of everyone, asking why the hell he just shared a private medical information at my workplace. He said he was just sharing our joy with everyone else since only him and I knew. Other coworkers asked that I calm down, but I meanly told him that he was out of line and that I will be reporting him to my superior for this and stormed off while Austin just stood there. My female coworkers came to tell me how rude I was towards Austin's nice gesture and insisted I heard him and that I overreacted, especially for saying I will be reporting him since he was just sharing happy news with everyone and I was just being too sensitive. But I felt my privacy was violated. Plus, I wanted to tell everyone on my own terms. Still, my coworkers tried to talk me out of it. Not just that, but also apologized to him for lashing out like that. So, was I wrong for my reaction? Absolutely not. Who? This dude first... Okay, so there's a bunch of things wrong with this, right? One, it's no one's business to say something like that. That's completely out of pocket, right? 2, what if it wasn't your pregnancy test? 3, what if you were deciding to have an abortion? Okay? 4, what if you lost the baby? Like, people don't think, people don't use their brains that God gave them. Like, why? Why? Am I wrong for telling my new coworker it was misleading of him to be wearing a wedding band when he's a widower? Yeah, I'm already saying you're the asshole and I haven't read this yet. Hi, a couple of weeks ago we had a new employee hired at the company. He's a good guy and a widower, named James, 36, and to my knowledge his late wife passed away 8 months ago. I like how she just calls him widower, like that. Leave him alone. Me, 32 female, and the other coworkers got along well with him. However, I noticed that he is still wearing his wedding band on his finger. It kind of confused me a bit and I couldn't help but bring it up to him while on lunch break. We talked and I pointed out that he was being very misleading by still wearing his wedding band when he's a widower. Why does she keep saying that, and why is it any of your business? He looked quite bothered by what I said, but I tried to explain that I think that he was giving people the wrong idea or impression about his relationship status since he's technically single and on his own right now. Don't want to sound cruel, but I'm speaking from technical angle. James said that he didn't give it much thought, meaning he doesn't care what people think, and that even if he wasn't wearing his wedding band and some women approached him, he'd still turn them down since he's obviously not interested. Why does this woman care so much about this dude? For some reason, things got awkward and everyone stopped eating and just stared at James and me. I told him I don't know, but that really felt generally misleading of him, as in making people think he is in a relationship, married when he is not, regardless of how he felt about being in a relationship. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with this woman? Like, why do you care if he, like, he's going to work. He's not going there to find out what. Ah, yuck, ew. He got upset, called me rude, and said that I repeatedly disrespected his marriage and his late wife's memory with what I said, and took his stuff and walked away. No shit, like, you're rude as fuck. My coworker said, regardless of who was right or wrong, you're wrong 100%. You don't, who the fuck are you? There was no reason for me to bring this up in the first place and cause a scene and make James upset. Now he's not speaking to me and the others who have sided with me. So, am I the asshole? Did I overstep or did he overreact? Like, that's the most insensitive, intrusive thing I've ever heard. Like, who the fuck are you? Tomorrow, my boyfriend is going to ask me to marry him, and I'm going to say no. I feel like if I don't tell someone, even strangers, I'll explode. The ache in my heart is only getting worse, and I don't know what I can do to change how I feel. If I had one wish right now, it would be to somehow magically change how I feel. A week ago, I found the ring. He knew exactly what ring to buy him. A girl can't ask for a more beautiful ring. It's been in his family for years. He also got a backup ring. I also know he asked my dad's permission and that my dad gave it to him despite us both being young. My family has always loved him so much. I think they'll feel equally awful after tomorrow. I wish I didn't find the ring. Maybe if I didn't have the time to think about it, I would have said yes. But that's not fair to either of us. I'll miss him. I'll miss his scent, his hugs, his laugh. The way he doesn't make me feel dumb when I tell him I don't know something. He'll just explain it to me. No judgment. I'll miss the chemistry we have, how even after years of being together, we still want each other just as much. I won't miss the jealousy, the possessiveness, and the way he feels like he owns me. When we first got together, I thought I could live with his flaws. After all, I wasn't perfect too. But when I saw the ring, I knew I couldn't. I want to be able to have friends, even if they are of the opposite gender. I want to talk to my coworkers without someone feeling jealous or threatened. I want to sometimes have a girl's night. I want a relationship where my partner doesn't act possessive in the name of being protective. I want someone who won't scream at me, asking me to get in the car and leave with him just because a male friend asked me to hang out. I get why he does it. I understand him. He's insecure and I get that. He wants to protect me, but what he doesn't understand is that he's hurting me trying to do this. I can't constantly fight and defend myself. That's not the life I see myself having. I feel like he doesn't even trust me even after years of being nothing but loyal. I feel selfish. I promised him I would never leave him. I promised him I'd stay and love him forever. I promised we'd grow old together, start a family together. He's even trying to be better for me. But it just wouldn't be fair to him to have a wife who, even if only for a few moments, resents him. I hope he wants to continue our relationship, even though I'll say no. I want to keep all my promises, just not now with the way we are. I feel like I'm drowning. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to disappoint everyone I know. I hope I wake up tomorrow and magically change my mind. Oh, shit. Good luck. That's all I got. Am I wrong for firing my sister after seeing her blog and not rehiring her without an apology? Basically what happened is I read my sister's blog. It was sent to me by a friend of mine who was asking if one of the characters was me. Spoiler alert, it was. It's a couple of years old and really popular. She doesn't use our family's real names, but they are very similar and use the same first letters. So think real names Kathy, Julia, Marissa, and Brad, and then the fake names being Kathy, June, Maureen, and Bob. It's descriptive enough of our lives and what we do for work that my friend identified me from it. It's mostly about her and her life, but there is still a lot about us. A year ago, I had an abortion. It was during the lowest point in my life so far, and only she and my husband knew about it. She swore to me that she would take the secret to her grave. Yeah, she wrote a whole entry about it. A couple of months ago, she and her husband got laid off due to world events. I run my own business that wasn't really affected, and I offered her a job there to help her out. She's not qualified in my field, so I essentially made up a position for her so she could have a steady paycheck. She basically does data entry and other random tasks online from her home. Her blog since then has basically centered on how much she hates it. She called it demeaning work work and says a bunch of bullshit about how I obviously don't respect her intelligence. I say this is BS because 1, she would need years of training to work any of the open positions. 2, I told her what she would do when I offered it, and she gushed about how grateful she was that I was really helping her. I called her and told her what I had read and how hurt I was. Her defense is that the blog is her online diary where she vents and that I should know not to take any of it personally. She actually had the gall to tell me that she is hurt that I read it. Ugh. Bitch, it's fucking public! Apparently, the right thing to do was ignore it. I told her off for telling the internet my secrets and dragging me online where I could be, and was found out by people who know me. She just said she did all her due diligence by changing the names and it wasn't her fault my friend found it. We argued for a bit, it got increasingly heated, and I fired her. I told her that if she couldn't apologize or see how she was wrong here, then she wasn't who I thought she is and she could find a job where she felt more respected. It's been a week and I haven't spoken to her at all. Her husband has been contacting me on her behalf trying to get her job back as they need the money. He claims she is sorry, but I think if she was, then she could tell me herself. My own husband is telling me I'm overreacting and she's family and I should just forget it. I don't agree. So am I the asshole here? Am I wrong for refusing to walk my daughter down the aisle? My daughter, 26 female, and I haven't spoken in years. When she was 15, we found out that she wasn't my biological daughter and my wife had cheated on me years ago with a friend. As it turns out, the so-called friend was suddenly interested in playing dad. My wife and I divorced, my daughter learned the truth, and I told her I still loved her no matter what. Of course, she was interested now in getting to know her biological father, and while it hurt, I tried to accept that. She started pulling away from me after that. Even when trying to still do things together as a family, she was no longer interested. The last straw was when she was 20 and living at my house. We were arguing because she had dropped from her college courses, hasn't done anything for 3 months, and was mad because I told her she either needed to go to school or work if she wants to stay here for free. She told me I can't even read it, so mean. She told me I'm not her real dad, so stop pretending like I am, and she'll just go to stay with her real father. That broke me, honestly, but I told her if that's how she really feels, then there's really nothing left to say between us, and she did move out to go live with him. I was depressed for a very long time and I drank a lot. My son, 24 male, was my only reason to keep moving forward. For the first couple of years, I reached out to my daughter. She wanted no contact and I learned to accept that and moved on. It helped me find more peace in my life. My son stopped talking to her for a while over this and was angry with her. They still chat sometimes, which doesn't bother me at all. Through him, I learned her biological father died in October 2019. She reached out to me first, saying she knows that we haven't talked in a while, but wants to ask me if I'd be willing to walk her down the aisle. After a pretty long message about how much she hurt me in the past with her actions, I told her no. She didn't want me to be her father anymore, so I learned to no longer view her as my daughter. This turned into a fight between us because, according to her, it's not her fault she wanted to know her real dad. And I agreed with her it's not, but what was her fault was how she treated me ever since. In my mind, I know if he hadn't passed, we wouldn't even be speaking right now. It ended with telling her I hope she enjoys her wedding, but I want no part of her life. My son told me she's ranting to my family that I'm ruining her day, and she thought parents are supposed to love their kids unconditionally. Oh, what a gaslighting bitch. Fuck her. Oh, I can't be sweating so much. Sorry. My brother seems to think that now I am being an asshole and that this is my chance to be in her life again, but I have no interest in that. Still seems that everyone has a strong opinion on it and that I'm making it difficult for my daughter to have the wedding she wants when it would mean a lot to her. My son is on my side, but the comments are still wearing me down, and just for the sake of my sanity, am I being an asshole? Am I wrong for rejecting someone's request to propose at my wedding? My husband and I got married last month and had a small and wonderful wedding. 2 weeks before the wedding, my best friend / maid of honor's boyfriend asked if it would be okay to propose during my reception. I first told him how thrilled I was that he was going to propose to my best friend and how excited she would be, but I really wasn't comfortable with him proposing during the wedding, at least as a public thing. He seemed totally shocked that I said no, which I can understand. He said that weddings are supposed to be about celebrating love and that as her best friend, I should want them to finally be engaged after 11 years together. I absolutely want that for them, but I just didn't understand why it needed to happen during the 5.5-hour window of my ceremony / cocktail hour / reception. I was very apologetic and offered to help however I could with the proposal on any other day, but he was very clearly not happy with me. I haven't heard from my maid of honor since the wedding, which is probably the longest we've ever gone without talking. I had tried several times to get in touch with her and let her know at one point that I had something of hers she had lost at the wedding. Never got a response. I texted the other day saying I was going to drop the lost item off at her house so she'd have it, and she finally responded. Apparently, during the after party at the hotel bar, my maid of honor's boyfriend got very drunk and told her that she would have been engaged that night if I hadn't ruined his plan. She says she isn't exactly mad at me, but she feels like her future engagement is ruined and that I denied her a chance at happiness. Whoa, what? Okay. Another mutual friend who knows what's going on says she doesn't... Another mutual friend who knows what's going on says she doesn't love that he planned to propose at the wedding, but thinks I was the asshole ultimately for saying no. Oh, no, hell no. What the F? Get out of here trying to propose at my wedding. It's fine if people say yes to it. More power to you. But if I say no, I might... What? The entitlement of some people. Get the hell out of here. Am I wrong for telling my sister-in-law no one cares that she's pregnant? See, this is one of those posts where it's like, duh, you're the asshole. But then when I read it, it's like, oh, never mind. Watch. Backstory. My cousin, 33 female, who I'll call Mary, lost her husband, 32 male, and 2 of her 3 children, 3 female and 9-month-old male, in a car accident last week. Her and her daughter 5 are as you would expect, and it's just heartbreaking. Well, today was the funeral, and my brother's wife announced her pregnancy the second they arrived at our house this morning, and we were like, okay, congratulations, but please keep it on the down low for today. Well, when we arrived at the church, she kept making gagging sounds and rubbing her stomach, saying, I, as a mom, can't imagine what she's going through. They have no kids, so people would look at her and she'd tell them she was pregnant. Afterwards, at my aunt's house, my sister-in-law kept making everything about her. Like someone was in the bathroom, and my sister-in-law would loudly say, pregnant lady needs to pee. She literally told my cousin to give her her seat so the lady with the baby could rest her feet. I ignored her until she came to Mary, stuck out her flat belly and said, me and Isaac just found out I was pregnant, and honestly, we are beside ourselves. It could happen to us. Mary broke down crying. I snapped. Who says that to a woman who just literally lost 2 babies? I said loudly to my sister-in-law, no one gives an F you're pregnant. Look around. It's not just 1, but 2 babies' funerals, not to mention the love of Mary's life. Like, I knew you were an attention seeker, but for fuck's sake, you took the test 4 days ago. Just leave. Good for you. She did leave in tears, and my brother called me a fat, bitter bitch. Oh, what the fuck? I've gotten phone calls from my brother and my sister-in-law's family calling me the world of names because I made a pregnant woman cry. Mary and my aunt thank me, but if I'm being honest, I feel bad about causing a scene. So please put me in my place if I'm wrong. Her husband, your brother should have pulled her aside and be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Shut the fuck up. But if he don't do it, you can do it. So, little update. I found out this morning that my brother and my sister-in-law harassed my cousin with phone calls for her to talk to me about yesterday. My aunt gave both of them an earful and then made my cousin turn off her phone. My brother and my sister-in-law were at my parents' house trying to get their side in when I arrived. They both came at me screaming and yelling about my sister-in-law's feelings, and she could miscarry from the stress I caused her. Sister-in-law said if I didn't lose my attitude and apologize, I'd never be in their child's life. Oh, brother, step up, brother. I told her I didn't care, and if she was going to use the kid as a weapon, I didn't want to be in their life anyway. Things got heated, and my father ended up kicking out my brother and my sister-in-law. So yeah, all this drama at a time, we should be there for one another. I'm so sorry.
Hey guys, today I'm stopping by the Container Store to grab some new fridge bins.
Your brother's whipped too.
Of course, I will need labels for my new bins, and luckily, Cricket Joy is now available at all 96 Container Store locations.
It was by far the most traumatic loss I experienced. It was unfair, untimely, and preventable. I got in therapy and was doing better, but I had issues with my dad's new wife and her daughter, who's 25 and just got married weeks ago. We do not have a close relationship, but we were cordial enough to sit at dinner tables. My stepsister treats me as a relative and was as much distant from me. But after my father got sick, we had to see each other a lot. I'm handling his care while stepmom works full-time, and stepsister doesn't do much, so she's always visiting when I moved in to help my dad. I brought with me all of my mom's belongings, and my stepsister showed interest in my mom's necklace and asked if she could borrow it to wear it at her wedding. I refused, and she tried every method to convince me, and I had to put it in a place where I thought it'd be safe after my stepmother got involved. As the wedding approached, they both kept convincing me to let my stepsister have it. She bragged about affording a better one, but it was a matter of showing who's in control. I stood my ground and told them how serious I was, so they backed off. I didn't attend the wedding to stay with my dad. I remember wanting to change where I was hiding the necklace while the house was empty, but I found it was gone. After searching for hours, I called my stepmom, and she said not to worry, my stepsister took it and will return it when the wedding is over, but it was clear that I won't see it till after the honeymoon since she and her daughter was staying at the hotel. I screamed at her to return it, but she argued about not wanting to leave the guests and the wedding already started. I told her I'd get it myself, but she forbid me from coming, saying she'd have to keep me out from wanting to make a scene. I called the police and explained to them what was happening. I informed them my stepsister intended to leave for her honeymoon with my property. The police were sent to where the wedding was being held, and they were able to retrieve the necklace from my stepsister. My stepmom returned home and kept shouting at me, calling me petty and crazy, to send the police to my stepsister's wedding, ruining it and humiliating them over a piece of jewelry. She was screaming at my sick dad, telling him to handle me after the stunt that I pulled at the wedding. I defended myself, saying I only wanted an item that belonged to me that they took without my permission returned. She argued further that I could have waited to get it back, but I chose to burn the bridge with my stepsister and said that she considers me dead after this. She said stuff I can't mention, but here's all I can say: it was a bad night. I might have overreacted by getting the police involved, but I had no guarantee of getting the necklace back since I have experience with them in the past. So, was I wrong here? It's simple. If you don't want to get the police involved, you don't steal people's property. So no, you're not wrong.
I'm so excited my Thrive Market order is here where I get all my favorite snacks. My kids love these strawberry applesauce pouches. They're great for on the go, plus they have probiotics. I also love this Honest Kids Berry Good Lemonade. These are great for lunch boxes, plus they have no sugar added, so I feel confident giving it to them. These double chocolate chip cookies are my son's favorite. They are delicious and they are gluten-free. I love adding these to his lunchbox as a sweet surprise. And these cracked black pepper crackers are my personal favorite. They taste great with all my favorite dips or by themselves. Get 110 in free groceries when you use my link in bio to sign up today.